What's up, everybody? It is Zach of Darkon Entertainment, and I just had some thoughts that I wanted to give about Luca, the Pixar's newest movie called Luca that I watched yesterday with some friends, actually. And I just want to get those thoughts out before I forget about them any further. But yeah, and one question that I want to ask first before I get onto the actual review: is it me, or do some of the main characters, like primarily the three main kids, look like they could have been characters from a Wallace and Gromit type movie? I mean, seriously, you look at the way that they smile, they just have that sort of claymation type smile that I would expect from a character from Chicken Run or Wallace and Gromit, although I haven't seen Wallace and Gromit personally. I've only seen Chicken Run personally, but nonetheless, it just looks starkly like that. The rest of the characters don't really look like that. I heard Shea Furlow's production say that the dad looks more like the dad from Claudia of A Chance of Meatballs, and he actually kind of does, except slightly more badass and not as over the top on the mustache and eyebrows as compared to the dad from Claudia with A Chance of Meatballs. But anyway, to sort of get on with the review, I guess I am not going to say, well, I guess I'm not going to say from spoilers. Cons first. I thought that in the middle portion that Alberto, which is like the second character of this movie, the guy who Luca sort of buddies up with, I thought that he got a little bit unreasonably mean-spirited at the middle portion of the movie, and it just kind of irked me and turned me off a little bit. The parents were a little bit became increasingly incompetent as the movie went on, like particularly when they gone up into the human world. Like you would expect, you would know that the sea monsters, they would have some amount of incompetence, especially if they're not like visiting the land world very often anyway, so it's somewhat expected. And the dad was incompetent and pretty much a buffoon from the get-go anyways. But the mom, she seriously did not know what her son looked like. I mean, some of the kids did not even look vaguely like the same shape as her son does, even as a human form. And somehow she was mistaking those kids to be her son, Luca. Anyway, it just sort of sucked me out just a little bit of how unrealistically bumbling and buffoonish that the two parents of Luca were. Another slight con is the fact that they did not feature Uncle Ugo, which is one of the characters that makes a very brief cameo in sort of the beginning-ish, middle-ish part of the movie. Like, he comes from the deeper part of the seas, and he comes up just to visit, just to bring Luca down to the deeper parts of the ocean to sort of teach him a lesson, I guess, so as to suck him out of the mentality that he wants to visit the land world and whatnot. I would have liked to have seen him at least one more scene with Uncle Ugo, because he looked like a fairly interesting enough character, but they sort of squandered him just a little bit. But I don't know. It's not that big a deal. And what is also not that big a deal, but is also worth mentioning, is the slight con of how that everybody, by the end of the movie, seems to be a little bit too accepting of the sea monsters. Like, as soon as Luca, Alberto, and the parents of Luca, and even a couple of random old ladies that lived in the town of, I cannot remember what it's called, Porto Rosa, the town, the town that the story is based all around. There are two old ladies that turned out, plot twist, to be a couple sea monsters themselves. Even though at the beginning of the movie you expect that they're just regular humans, but no. Everybody is just too easily accepting of them. Like, I found it understandable enough that the dad of the one little daughter, that he would become accepting of the sea monsters ultimately, because he got like heavily introduced to Luca and Alberto as people, and realizes that they are very helpful, very good guys. So it's not surprising to me that he would ultimately be more accepting of them, because he's all like, he knows these people outside of what their species is. But everyone else did not get to know these people as people, did not get to know the sea monster creatures as people. yet they somehow are just so easily accepting of them. Now, I don't expect all of them to keep on making attempts on their lives or whatever, but I thought they would be just a little bit more grumbly about their acceptance of the sea monsters as their own type of decent people, anyways. But no, they're just all happy-go-lucky about their tolerance towards sea monsters. It just seems a tad bit unrealistic, is my only thing about it. I mean, by the end of the movie, you could have made it so that the sea monster creatures, they are safe somewhat from being harmed, because the dad, I can't remember his name, is like the one human dad, anyways, I'll put it that way. The human dad is like the ultimate alpha dog of the entire town. He seems like the biggest, most muscular dude of the entire town. So it wouldn't be surprising that if he got better acquainted to them and was accepting of them, he would somewhat protect them from any attempts on the sea monsters' lives from the rest of the townspeople, so they would just ultimately, generally speaking, leave the sea monsters alone. You could have at least had it that way, so that the dad is accepting and protects them from any sort of people trying to tempt on their life or whatever. But anyway, that's just my opinion, though. As far as good things, I think that was it as far as cons go. Well, actually, there is one more thing. There are some points of which that the way that the mechanics work with this world is that sea monsters are able to look like humans if they dry off enough. They hide their sea monster exterior and become looking more like humans. And I just thought that they're drying off a little bit too fast. That's my only thing. Like, the one parts of when that Luca and Alberto are just like are just jumping out of the water and back down into the water like a couple of dolphins and whatnot. Nobody would be able to dry off that fast so as to be sea monster, and as soon as they jump up, human. They look human. Sea monster, human. Sea monster, human. It's just a tad bit. I mean, I know that I'm talking about a magical world of where that the impossible is possible. Sea monsters exist and are able to disguise themselves as humans if they are dry. But going off of the mechanics of this place, I just thought to myself, with the way that water works, you do not typically dry off that fast. I don't know. But that was it for the cons. Good stuff is, the dad is pretty cool. He was probably one of my favorite characters. I also like the daughter a whole lot. She was like very bubbly in her personality and likable, and also did not take any shit from what's the guy's name? The one main villain as well. The one main villain who Shea Frilla Productions is referring to as Italian Skinner, because he looks so much like Skinner from Ratatouille, and he's not wrong. But I personally, when I first saw the Italian villain in Luca, I thought he looked a little bit more like Mandark. That's the name of the character. Mandark, the villain from Dexter's Laboratory. He looked a whole lot like Mandark, and that one black-haired sort of dorky sidekick of Jimmy Neutron. You all know which one I'm talking about. It's not the real stupid ginger fat guy. I'm talking about the slightly obnoxious but not quite as stupid and not quite as smart as a Jimmy Neutron black-haired guy with the sort of triangle face. He looked a whole lot like that guy, and Mandark put together into one character was my thought. But yeah, and the main villain, he was kind of fun to watch the ending chase scene. Like, there's this competition that the characters go on where that they have to first swim, then eat a whole bunch of pasta, and then bike to the top of the most top hill point of the town, down another hill on the other end of the town. And when they got to the biking portion, I thought there was a fun chase scene to watch. Luca, he's a pretty investable character and relatable as well. Alberto, he's also pretty relatable as well, in spite of the fact that I just earlier said that he gets a little bit too mean-spirited at the middle portion of the movie. And sort of relating to that con as well, there's this one part of where that Alberto goes querying the one girl, like, what if we turned out to be sea monsters, or what if Like, what if we turn out to be sea monsters? Would you still accept us? It was like Alberto was just building up to reveal Luca to be a sea monster, because he's getting like increasingly jealous of Luca spending more time with the girl, Julia, that's her name, or Julieta, something like that. But Julieta spends more time with Luca. Alberto is kind of jealous of that, so he's building up in this one scene almost to be revealing that Luca is a sea monster. That's the implication that I got anyways. And when it turns out that Alberto ends up falling into the water that they are right next to instead of Luca, he gets revealed to be the sea monster, and Luca goes pointing out, "Sea monster!" pointing out that Alberto is in fact a sea monster to some of the human characters that are exposed to this revelation, that being Julieta and the main villain and his two sidekicks. And I was just thinking to myself, Alberto, why are you acting all shocked and betrayed about this? I mean, you're being kind of a dick to Luca in the first place, and it almost looked like that you're about to reveal Luca to be a sea monster, so serves you right, bitch. Anyway, that's probably all about it. That's probably about all that I have to say. All around, fun movie. Wasn't too ambitious as far as morals or lessons that this movie was trying to present as far as Pixar movies go, because Pixar movies can be, typically speaking, pretty revolutionary as far as the morals and lessons that they teach to the viewing audience. But this one did not have so much of that. It was just a little boy who was wanting to chase his dream, essentially, and he learned some lessons and how to interact with friends and family along the way. Some mild lessons that have been taught in other movies before, let's be honest. But nonetheless, 7 out of 10, highly recommend. Fun movie, go check it out if you have Disney Plus. I don't think they are featuring it on theaters at all. I could not see it at the AMC Theaters website, but if you have a Disney Plus account, I suggest it. Anyway, that's all I have to say for right now. I am Zach, the Dark Conservatarian of Darkon Entertainment. See y'all later. Bye-bye.